Now we're in Dedham, Massachusetts for the trial of Dr. Ingolf Tuerk, a renowned surgeon accused of murdering his wife. Let's go into the courtroom now. We've got the fourth state witness up. He's a Dedham police officer, and he was the one who found Dr. Tuerk appearing not to be well. Let's take a look.
And when you got to the residence inn, who did you speak with?
Someone at the front desk. I don't recall the name.
Somebody who worked for the hotel?
Correct.
Okay. And what was your purpose in going to the residence inn?
It was for a well-being check of a Katie McLean.
And can you explain what a well-being check is?
Generally, like a family member or a friend will call the police to have us get in touch with a person they haven't been able to contact, or because they feel there's something out of the norm with them.
And is that something that you do typically?
It's pretty typical, yes.
Okay. And so on this day, what, if anything, did you do?
We went to the residence inn, spoke with the clerk at the front desk, and were directed to a hotel room upstairs.
And did you go upstairs to the hotel room?
Correct.
And then what did you do?
We opened the door.
How did you get the door open?
There was someone, a staff member up there that had a key card that opened the door. Okay.
And before opening the door, did you knock on the door?
Yes, we knocked and announced Dedham Police.
And when you say announced, what do you mean by that?
Kind of loudly, say Dedham Police, just so it could get the attention of the person inside.
Louder than we're speaking right now?
Correct.
And would you knock loudly?
Knock loudly, yes.
Okay. One time or more than one time?
Several times.
All right. And did anyone open the door for you?
Nobody opened the door, no.
Okay. So then what happened?
After getting no response, we proceeded to open the door with the key card.
And what did you see when you looked into the room?
There was a man laying in the bed.
Okay. And can you describe the man?
He was dressed in jeans and a shirt, and wasn't answering to us.
Okay. Did you enter the room?
We did, yes.
And when you entered the room, were you speaking to the man in the bed?
We tried to.
What were you saying?
Asked him if he was okay.
And did you get a response?
No.
Okay. Can you describe his demeanor at that point in time?
Kind of moaning. Eyes were pretty much closed. Just kind of unresponsive.
Okay. And do you see that person here in the courtroom today?
I do.
Can you please point him out and identify an article of his clothing?
He's over at the defense table there wearing a blue tie and suit.
Your Honor, may the record reflect identification?
Yes.
And so what happened next?
At that point, based on the gentleman's condition, we called for an ambulance.
Okay. And did you do anything while you were waiting for the ambulance?
Kind of just looked around the hotel room to see if there was, we were also looking for Mrs. McLean, but also just kind of seeing what was going on.
Okay. Was Mrs. McLean there?
No.
All right. And was there anyone else in the room?
No.
Okay. So what else did you see at that point in time?
On the nightstand next to the bed, there was a bottle of whiskey or scotch, and there was a small table that had a kitchen knife on it. Appeared to be some blood on the knife and some bloody tissues.
Okay. Did you touch any of those items?
I did not.
Okay. Was there anything else that you observed at that point in time?
No, nothing.
Okay. And so what, if anything, did you do next?
I think we waited for the ambulance to get there. They started treating him, and I think at some point I called for a detective to respond.
Okay. And by treating him, what do you mean by that?
The EMTs they're kind of checking his body to see what type of, if there's any wounds or what may have caused his condition.
Okay. And did you see anything at that point?
What's that? I'm sorry.
Were you able to make any observations while they were checking his body?
He had some kind of superficial cuts on his arms, and they had rolled up his jeans. He had cuts on his jeans. Sorry, on his legs.
Okay. Were you able to see any treatment in particular that they performed?
Not really, no.
Okay. Did they provide any medicine to the defendant?
I believe they gave him Narcan.
Okay, and what is that?
It's kind of reverses the effects of an opioid overdose.
Okay, and is that pretty standard that you would do that, or the ambulance would do that when you find people that are unresponsive?
Yeah, when there's a circumstance, kind of when you're not sure about what's causing a condition, you usually give Narcan just in case.
Okay, and did that have any effect on the defendant?
It did not.
And so what happened with the defendant at that point in time?
I believe he was placed on the stretcher and transported to the hospital.
Okay, do you know which hospital?
I don't recall. No.
And what, if anything, happened next?
I think we went out to the parking lot because we were told there were two.
You went to the parking lot?
Yes.
And what were you going to do in the parking lot?
We were told that two vehicles were in the lot.
And what were the vehicles that were in the lot?
They said one belonged to Miss McLean and one to Mr. Tuerk.
Okay. And did you see those vehicles?
I did.
All right. And did you speak with anyone in the parking lot?
I was approached by a male party, yes.
And did the male party identify himself?
Yes, he said Stephen Rocca.
Okay. And did you have a conversation with him?
Yes.
All right. And what, if anything else, did you do?
Spoke with him, and then that was basically it at the hotel.
At the hotel. Okay. And so then where, if anywhere, did you go?
I went back to the police station to start doing my report.
Okay. And after completing your report, what, if anything, did you do?
I responded back to the residence inn because the state police K-9 unit was there to search the area.
Okay. And what area did the state police K-9 unit search?
So like around the perimeter of the hotel, there's kind of a fenced area. They did that along that area, the perimeter.
Okay. And what, if anything else, did you do?
At that point, there was nothing at the hotel, so I went back to the police station to make some phone calls.
Okay. And who were you speaking with at the police station?
There was a Kurt and a Vanessa.
Okay. And did you talk with them on the phone or in person?
On the phone.
All right. And is there anything else that you did after speaking with Vanessa and Kurt?
No.
Okay. Do you recall speaking with Medfield Police at any point in time?
Oh, yes, I did. Just because there was a ping on Miss McLean's phone, and it was tracking in that area in Medfield.
Okay, and what's a ping?
So basically,
We know she ultimately wound up in a pond placed there by the defendant, and he indicated to police where he put her, so fortunately her body could be recovered. What about the state he was in after this? Let's talk about that. I want to bring in Sonny Slaughter for some thoughts. Sonny, your thoughts on how the doctor was found at that hotel?
You know, I was thinking about his condition, and he probably had some remorse. Maybe they had been drinking and he was just kind of out of it. So it's not unusual that they found him in this condition. I'm glad the police did the welfare check, glad someone called. But I also wanted to say really quick, Julie, is that I noticed that they had a restraining order in 2019 and 2020. I want victims to be aware of, even a victim can violate a restraining order. If you have a restraining order against someone, you also cannot violate the restraining order by being in their company or whatever the parameters of the restraining order are. You know, sometimes we want to forget that we have gotten this order and it only applies to the perpetrator, but it also applies to the victim. So you have to be careful, because a court can put sanctions on you, or, you know, or put you in jail as well for violating the restraining order. This was a very toxic relationship, and they should have not gotten back together. They should have stayed separated, and they have happened.
Yeah, you're so right. Sonny, thank you for that. That's a great point about the restraining order. And here we know that she ultimately went to the court to have it lifted then. You know, she gets it in place and then, as you know, backtracks. And as you also know, Sonny, he strangled her before they got married. So there were indications that this was going to continue to be a violent relationship. Sonny Slaughter, thank you for your time and your expertise this morning. We'll look forward to seeing you again very soon. And my friends at home, don't go anywhere. Up next, Kathleen's ex-husband.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Ted Rowlands. Good to be with you on a Monday as we start off another busy week together here on Court TV, tracking several trials across the country. In Massachusetts, the trial for defendant Ingolf Harry Tuerk continues. The surgeon accused of strangling his wife, Katie, to death after an argument back in 2020. In Arizona, jury selection begins today in the cult mom conspiracy case for Lori Daybell. She's representing herself against a charge of conspiracy to commit murder and the death of her fourth husband, Charles. The goal, try to have 12 jurors seated by the end of the week and have opening statements starting on Monday. Let's head back, though, to Massachusetts and more testimony in the Harry Tuerk case. On the stand is Dedham police officer Joseph Ellis. We'll pick it up where we left off.
So basically, you would call a cell phone provider and get a location of a person's cell phone.
And when are you able to do that? In what circumstances?
Usually just emergency circumstances or missing persons, that type of stuff.
Okay. And so what was the point of calling the Medfield police?
Just because Miss McLean was unable to be located.
And what was happening in Medfield?
Her phone was in that area.
Okay. So it was your understanding that her phone was pinging within the town of Medfield?
Yes.
And so were you asking them to assist you?
Yes, I gave them the location that it was possibly pinging, and they were going to search the area.
Okay. And the ping, does it give you an exact location, or what kind of information do you get?
It usually gives like a certain area in meters. It could be a big area or a small area, depending.
Okay. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Just two questions, actually. Counsel, I'd ask you about the Narcan. What exactly is Narcan? Is that a substance that if somebody's using drugs and they're in an overdose, it helps them?
It usually reverses the effects of an opioid overdose, yes.
It refreshes the effects? What does that mean?
Reverses.
Reverses, I'm
Yes.
sorry, I misunderstood you. And it had no effect on Harry at that point, correct?
Correct.
Which would indicate that it has nothing to do with drugs. Extreme alcohol, possibly, but not
Nothing to do with an opioid.
Okay. And as it relates to the vehicles, you indicated something to the jury in response to the district attorney's question about the cars that were in the parking lot, one of which was owned by Miss McLean?
I don't know who it was owned by, but I was told that she operated it.
Right. Okay. So you don't know that both vehicles were in fact owned by Harry and that she was driving them. You didn't know that.
I didn't know which person owned them. No.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
Nothing further.
Okay, you may step down, sir. Thank you.
Okay, that's it for the last little bit on the defense and making sure that everybody knows that Harry owned everything, and that's part of what they believe was going on between this relationship. Let's bring in Krista Ramey up next. Krista, for the state, is the ex of Kathleen, who seemed to be kind of hanging around in everyone's life during all of this. Could be an important witness.
Well, yeah, I mean, all of them could be. I mean, you're talking about the last witness was really, one before this detective was really interesting as well in terms of, the areas of concern for the prosecution. I think they're getting ahead of some of these defenses by putting these other gentlemen on the stand. It allows the full story to be told, so there's no surprises. And I think that this is very important that it's being done this way. So it's not we're hiding the ball and then the defense comes up and aha, there was all of this other stuff. It was previewed in the opening arguments. They're trying to mitigate this down from first degree to something less, probably manslaughter. I don't know if it'll work.
Yeah, at the end of the day, he killed her. There's lots of, we see this all the time. So, well, I killed her because there's so many other options, and you just can't, that's not an excuse. We'll see how it works with this one.